welcome to Old Bird New Tricks. I'm Amanda Pennick, and today we are going to be talking about foraging activities, specifically food stations. I wanted to bring up this foraging idea because it's really good for tiny all the way up to large macaws, and with the tiny birds you don't always get a lot of ideas from the internet, and a lot of the pre-made acrylic items are made for green cheeks and up birds that use their feet to manipulate objects. But this idea can be used for parrots, cockatiels, budgies, linneys. A bunch of these smaller guys can easily get used to this concept just as well as the big ones can. So to start off with the feeding idea, in the wild your birds are going to be traveling large distances to get their food, and in the cage we tend to leave their food in a nice little row of water fresh pellets, and they're not getting the same level of enrichment and activity that they would. Now, of course, you can't turn your cage or your house into miles and miles of whatever environment your bird comes from. But we can do more to encourage our birds to move throughout their cage throughout the day and expend a little bit more energy. One of the ways to do this is what I call feeding stations. So what you're going to do is you're going to have 4, 5, 6, depending on the size of your cage, different food containers at different levels so that your bird has to move around the cage to get their fresh food, their dry food, rather than just sitting in one spot. Now, I do like to keep the water in one place, and actually I tend to keep the fresh in the one place as well because fresh can spoil. And so with the dry food containers, I can pre-make a stack of them and have them ready to go to set in the cage. What you're going to do to start is take your bird's daily dose of pellets and nutriberries and other treats and spread them throughout the containers in the cage. Each day you're going to make sure that you put the nutriberries and the walnuts or whatever, depending on your species, into different containers so that your bird's encouraged to travel around the cage and look and see what's in each container. You're going to monitor your bird's weight while you do this because you don't want to discourage them from eating, and that's very important. We want to make sure that, yes, the bird is moving around and expending more energy, but that they're also finding the food and getting their daily food still. After a few days of them moving around, what you're going to do is add what I call distractors to the dish. Now, if you have a small bird, this could be crinkle paper or pony beads. You could use clean stones. You could use wood beads. Whatever you use, make sure that it's large enough that the bird is not going to swallow it, but it's small enough and light enough that your bird can push it around to get to the food. The idea is that your bird can still see the food and access it easily, but they might have to move around a few pieces of whatever you've put in there in order to get to the food. So again, you're going to spread the dishes around the cage, you're going to rotate where the really good pieces of food are, and you're now going to have the distractors in the cage. So now the bird is having to move around to find the food that it wants, and it's having to maneuver around whatever distractor you've placed in it. Keep monitoring the weight. Once you're sure your bird has a handle of this and you want to up the challenge a bit, you're going to cover half of the dish with paper. So each dish gets a bit of paper over the top. You can use the ring that the dish sits in to hold the paper. I'll post a photo of what I'm talking about in the comments of this video. And then what you're going to do is watch, make sure your bird is still going for the food. You're leaving the dish half open so that they can see that there's still food in the dish. Throughout the week, you're going to slowly cover the dish more and more. Eventually, you're going to have a fully covered dish. The first few times that the dish is fully covered with paper, though, you're going to want to poke some holes in it, maybe make larger holes depending on the skill of your bird. And that's going to just remind them that there's food in there and this is how you get it. Eventually, you're going to have fully covered dishes throughout the cage with distractors, with the dry food, and the bird is going to have to spend a lot more energy and a lot more time and a lot more mental processes to get the food that it wants. You can even complex this more by adding parcels of food, so wrapping the individual food in like muffin wrappers, making some dummy packages with beads or stones. Lots of different ideas beyond this on how you can add complexity. But even just going back to that first step having multiple food dishes of dry food at different levels and different difficulties, so some could be right beside a perch, others they have to cling to the side of the cage to get to, is going to add a little bit of variety and a little bit more movement into your bird's daily lives. Let me know if you try this out at home. Please share some photos. If there's any other video ideas you would like to see, please message me or post in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Bye.